What's up, guys? Welcome back. My topic for you guys today comes from the annals of Twitter. Yes, you heard me correctly. The annals. I was scrolling along, minding my own business, when I noticed nearly 1 million tweets arguing about a man wearing a dress. And not gonna lie, it kind of made me feel nostalgic for the great gender war of 2016. Do you guys remember that? I remember that. In fact, there are still some corners of the internet who know me as the girl who believes in 9 million genders. This is my legacy! And not even what I said in those videos, but that is beside the point. The point of internet wars is to argue with each other and scream into the void and never actually modify or question our own beliefs. And as an American, it is my God-given right. In all seriousness, I don't know why, but when it comes to this specific topic, everyone just loses their mind. It's almost like the word gender is this weird key that just goes into people's brains and then we just all become zombies. To some extent, it's understandable, but part of me just wants to prove that it doesn't have to be that way, that we, the noble citizens of the internet, are capable of talking about things in a way that isn't just a massive echo chamber of everyone patting themselves on the back about, how right they are, or a giant dumpster fire. So I need your guys' help. Help me make a point that there are parts of the internet where people come together and can agree and disagree and have conversations that actually, help people understand each other. Or we can just, flame each other. Because internet. All right, so I want to share some thoughts about the Vogue cover, things that I haven't seen anyone say yet, and then I'm going to respond to a couple of arguments that I disagree with. Something that I've found interesting since I was in high school was the realization that something as simple as clothes can communicate so much more than just this is cotton, this is black. When I was in high school, this was a symbol of coolness and status. If you had Abercrombie, you were pretty legit. And status is a really big one when it comes to clothes. It's why people pay so much attention to what celebrities are wearing. By, copying or channeling what the wealthy and powerful are wearing, maybe I too can get a slice of that social status, right? And all the rewards that come with it. So, at first that's what the Vogue cover says to me. It's just another rich celebrity showing off how cool and cultured they are, saying, look at me. And then we all look at them. But honestly, I'll take this over that weird trend where celebrities tried to look poor. And that was edgy too. I'm not a fashion person, okay? You probably realized that by now. But my understanding is that fashion is about pushing limits. It is very trendy now, and it has been in the past too, to wear clothes that violate assumptions about gender. It gets clicks, it gets views and likes, it sells magazines, and so in some ways, all this hubbub, me talking about this right now, is the very point. Gender nonconformity has become a tremendously profitable aesthetic. And it makes sense, right? Men wearing makeup and nail polish and dresses and, whatever else doubles the consumer market for those items. So, why wouldn't the fashion and beauty industry embrace this? The modern gender revolution, whatever you want to call it, is 100% capitalist approved. And in my opinion, that's why we're seeing more of it in the media. And honestly, more people should talk about the economics of these cultural issues because, money talks. That's my spicy take. But I wanted to understand people who see this kind of thing and find it very disturbing, very upsetting. What's on their mind? The most viral tweets that I saw about this suggest that people worry it's a warning sign of cultural decay. It's a sign that we're not placing enough value and emphasis on strong, traditionally masculine men. And that's bad because we need masculine men. Historically, they protected us from harm. Strong men win wars. Without them, a nation becomes weak and vulnerable. I understand this perspective to some extent. It is our most basic instinct to survive. And throughout history, men and women have played different roles in the survival of humanity. The role that women has played has been to have babies, to raise children who are healthy and strong. The role of men has been to provide for their families, for their wives and their children, and to protect them from outside threats. I think there's space for men and women to continue doing just this if that's what they want to do. But we should also acknowledge that the world is changing, and so our rules might be changing too. For instance, military experts say that future future wars won't be fought with muscle. They're going to be fought with technology. Even now, only 20% of military work has a physical component, and that's a number that just keeps falling. So in that sense, it seems unlikely that, we're facing down a real risk of a tough guy or tough lady shortage. That said, when it comes to the military, Americans are vulnerable. But it's not because of a failing of masculinity, it's a failing of education. The Modern War Institute at West Point, which is a very prestigious military academy, warns. One thing is sure, the future of America winning its wars won't be dependent on how many push-ups every shoulder can do. Every soldier can do. It will rely on the ability of the American educational system to produce young men and women equipped to serve as electronic warriors, strategists, and expert tacticians capable of employing the most technologically advanced weapon systems in the air, land, sea, cyber domains. Wow, that is a really long sentence. And then they go on to note that when it comes to skills that matter, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, aka STEM, the US is falling gravely behind the rest of the world. So in theory, people who are very concerned about protecting the country, protecting their families, should also be concerned about our STEM education. To be fair, I do know many people who are in the traditional masculinity camp who also are worried about STEM, so it's not like those people don't exist, but, it rarely makes the news, so to speak. But then I was like, well, maybe it's not just about the physical, manliness. Maybe it's about emotional toughness. The traditionally masculine traits of resilience and courage. I mean, even if our wars aren't physical, that doesn't mean that they're easy. Society needs strong leaders of all stripes. So are men changing in this regard? Are men today becoming too soft? I think it's fair to question whether we are rewarding or encouraging behavior that is too emotionally fragile. I actually talked about that a bit in my video about stoicism. If it is the case that we're becoming less resilient, as a society, I still don't think that therefore it's a problem for men to wear a dress. And that's because, in my point of view, anybody can put on any piece of clothing, dress or otherwise, and it doesn't change who they are. And I think that is the point where I started to find myself in more substantial disagreement with some of the takes out there. I want to show you a clip from Ben Shapiro that I hope will represent his argument. I don't want to play the whole video, but I'll also link it down below if you want the full context.
Right, this is a category error, you morons, to suggest that because men wore something like a kilt in Scotland, that if you transferred over to America would look more feminine. Therefore, a man wearing a skirt in America in 2020 is just the same in the male-female paradigm as a man wearing a kilt in Scotland in 1590 is insane and idiotic and ridiculous on its face, and we all know that. Okay, pretending that men dressing like women is not about feminizing men is ridiculous because they are overtly celebrating the fact that styles is feminizing masculinity. So this is all a big gaslighting effect, right? The left will do this. The left's routine is this. Look how important and magical it is that Harry Styles is wearing a dress. He's subversively undermining masculinity by bringing the effect of femininity to the masculine. And that's real masculinity, isn't dude wearing a dress. And then people on the right are like, yes, men wearing dresses does undermine masculinity by making it more feminine. And that is a bad thing. And then folks on the left don't respond by saying, well, why is it a bad thing to feminize masculinity? Because then they would lose the argument because masculinity has very many good things and ought to be upheld. Instead, what the left does is this weird gaslighting shut up routine where they say, how dare you say that men wearing dresses undermines masculinity?
So Ben describes this as a category error by blurring or mixing up the categories of masculinity and femininity in America. And he says he feels like he's being gaslit by people who espouse contradictory views and then deny that, one or the other is what they actually believe. Now, I want to acknowledge that the feeling of being gaslit is valid. I believe him when he says that because I also think there are logical contradictions in some of the lefty ideas about gender, especially those that, get a lot of play online. But I also came away from this feeling like, okay, maybe some people are misunderstanding a pretty important part of this particular view of gender. Most liberal feminists, this is not everyone obviously, don't want to redefine masculinity to be more feminine. They want to build on traditional masculinity, adding, traits to the bucket rather than subtracting them. So one of those things is what we're talking about now, the freedom of men to just wear feminine things, to wear what they want. But the aesthetic freedoms aren't even a key issue, despite all the play that it gets in the media. What it is about is asking men to learn more life skills that are relevant to the modern world so that men can be effective protectors and providers. Things like making dinner for the kids or knowing how to understand and communicate about his feelings so that we can resolve conflicts in a relationship. And maybe in Ben's paradigm and experience of the world, these things aren't even on his radar, right? They don't apply to him, they don't exist in his world. But for me, they do apply to me, and they do exist in my world, and they exist in plenty of people's worlds. And so it's possible that we're just experiencing different realities here. That's why I think it's important for all of us to engage meaningfully with what other people are saying, to consider that maybe their reality is a little bit different than ours. There are concerns and pain points that people you disagree with are expressing, and you may not be able to, I may not be able to hear them because they're not, what my world is like. And I also want to reiterate that, the category that Ben is describing of the traditional masculinity, it's still here. It's still valuable. It's still important. I want my partner to make me feel protected and provided for, albeit we might see those things differently. Part of that sense of safety for me is knowing that my partner has the tools he needs to move through the world emotionally as well. I want to close out here with a final thought, which is about the authoritarian tendencies of this particular ongoing conversation. Is it really fair or reasonable to demand that the entire world adopts one particular view of gender? Where I think we run into problems is where any particular faction tries to impose their view on other people in a way that interferes with their ability to live their life however they want to live it. At the end of the day, this single British dude, Harry Styles, wearing a dress, has absolutely no bearing on my life. And so it's stuff like that that's like, am I missing something? Am I crazy? Am I secretly a closeted libertarian or something? I have no idea. Who has any idea what is happening in these wild times? Thank you for joining me, my dears. Please do let me know your thoughts down below. I know that you probably have thoughts on this, and I want to hear them. I like to read what you guys write me in the comments. Even if I can't respond to everyone, I do read most of what is written. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe on your holiday. I'll see you next time.